Hey guys, MCU Collector here with a new video. I know it's been a few days and I really wanted to get this a few days ago, but I just really haven't had the time. But here we finally have the Mezco 112 Collective Black Panther figure. This is the latest MCU figure. It is now the fourth release of a MCU figure. So first we had the Gladiator Hulk, then we had the Thor from Thor Ragnarok, and then we had the Spider-Man in the homemade suit. Here we have the Black Panther, now the tech suit, Stark suit, whatever you want to call it, regular suit from Spider-Man Homecoming will be coming out soon from what I understand. That one has probably had the longest Mezco delay, but I could be wrong with that because I am absolutely not a Mezco expert whatsoever. But here we have the Black Panther figure, and this package looks awesome. And I didn't notice this before, but I took the plastic wrap off of it, and then the actual package, the box, has the suit design in it, so you can see kind of how it's all woven together and everything. It looks pretty awesome. You see the Black Panther movie logo there, and we'll get right to it. Now the back of the package is what's really cool because you see the figure and all of the accessories that he comes with, and it looks awesome. Now I've already taken the figure out of the package and taken a look at it, and it is pretty cool, but I will tell you right away it does lack in articulation for a character that should be very agile, so we'll get to it. But the figure itself does look really good. Get right to it. Okay, and here is the Black Panther figure out of the package. So here we have all the accessories that he comes with. So he comes with 1, 2, 3, and the ones he's wearing 4 total sets of interchangeable hands. So he has the fists that come out of the package. He has the holding hands for the weapons and the shield. He has the open hands, and then he has like the claw hands that are just kind of even more open. Then we have an unmasked T'Challa head, and then of course we have the Mezco stand that comes with all figures, and it looks pretty awesome. Just black with the Black Panther movie logo there. So really, really cool. Now, let's go over the articulation right away. So here is where I think the figure is lacking a little bit, just because, you know, with Black Panther, he should be real agile, and you can only get this figure in so many poses. Now, for me, in how I display my collection, it is not a problem whatsoever. What I care about is really how the figure looks, and this thing looks great. So, going over, he can look down that far, he can look up that high, so not great, but not terrible either. Now the arms can go up very high, so that is great. You can only get it up so far going forward, that much. There is an upper bicep swivel up there. You get a double jointed elbow there. 1, 2, yeah, so double jointed elbow, which is great because I know a lot of the Mezcos, if you go in like the Mezco groups, there's a lot of complaints about how many joints at the elbow, but it's pretty good for me. There's no forearm swivel or anything like that, but the wrist is on a ball joint, so it can hinge and it can swivel around, which is great. As far as the ab crunch, it's hardly that, so you're only going to get the figure to go back that much, which isn't a lot. Going forward is a little tough because I can only get him to go that far forward. So again, for an agile character, you should be able to move him a little bit more than that. Now the diaphragm itself, you can see that there's some pivot in there, so you can pivot the upper torso like so. There is not really a waist swivel, but that lower torso can get some swivel, so you can even turn the torso down there a little bit as well, but you're not going to get any kind of full rotation or anything like that. Now the hips go out that far apart, so that is really good. The legs can kick out that far, not terribly far. They don't really go back. There is an upper thigh cut there, so you can twist and turn the leg. You get a double jointed knee, which works great. There's no lower leg swivel or anything, but you get an ankle pivot there, and it can hinge all the way down and can hinge up somewhat. Not a whole lot. So that's the articulation. So again, it's not terrible, but it's not great when you have a character like Black Panther who should be very agile and can move around like crazy and get into different kind of stances and poses. Next, let's go up to the accessories and take a look at what he comes with before we get a closer look at the figure. Okay, so here are the accessories. So here's the T'Challa head. Now, it's not a terrible head sculpt. It's actually quite good, but my complaint is that I don't think it looks like Chadwick Boseman. I just don't see it. Others might think so. At certain angles, it kind of looks like him, but overall, I don't see it. Again, it's not terrible, but just doesn't look like Chadwick Boseman to me, which is tough because Mezco actually, I thought, and in some cases does a very good job at their head sculpts, like that Thor figure. Is one of the best I've seen. His shield. Now, I'd have to go back and look at the prototype images of the figure, the promo images that they released. There was a lot more detail in this shield compared to the final product. I don't mind the way it looks at all, but going back, I'll have to take a look at that. I saw someone's picture and it did not look good, but I'll have to go back and see. And it's nice. It's all sculpted quite nicely. You could see like the bands where that pole would be, which is a nice detail that there's, that they really wouldn't have to put in, but Mezco went that extra mile doing that. This little silver balls there, it looks good. You can see the way it's sculpted down and dented into the shield. This rod is like a separate piece, and what I really like about the rod is it's thick enough to where it's really not gonna get warped. I mean, it's got a little bit of give to it. But it is held up very straight. It's very solid, and I like the way it came out looking. We also get this little spear, so there's nice detail in the handle and in the paint, showing those straps that are holding it on there. The metal itself is a nice color, like that kind of the dark silver metal color that they use. Then we have kind of this feather band that's kind of just hanging out there. Now the hands, we get these holding hands, so you can see that you can hold both the shield and the weapon, and I'll show that a little bit later in the video. Then we get these ones where his hands are open. One thing I really like is these claws. They're done with a nice bright silver at the end. They're actually pretty sharp. It's not going to puncture any skin or anything, but it would scratch up a dio if you're using that, so be careful with that. But they came out looking very good. And then here, just kind of the open, relaxed hands, but it still has the sharp ends for the claws. Now, one thing that I really like about these hands is there's a lot of detail that they went into in the sculpt of the hands themselves. Let me see if I can get some good light in there. So you can see a lot of great sculpt work in the hands, both on the inside of the palm and on the outside. So great job, Mezco. Okay, now let's take some closer looks at the figure. Now, the T'Challa unmasked head sculpt may not be my favorite, but this Black Panther head sculpt, the helmeted head sculpt, looks amazing. Look at the sculpted detail all throughout the helmet. Mezco did a fantastic job bringing this to life in a 6-inch scale, or 1/12 scale. The sculpt of it is amazing. I really, really like the way it came out. I think, again, they did a great job with it. One thing I kind of wish they could have done, and maybe we'll see a PX exclusive, even though they probably would have announced one by now, but like a vibranium energy, kind of like with Marvel Legends did. They painted those certain areas for the vibranium energy effect. The head sculpt, if they put in some purple in there, this thing would have looked great. A lot of these lines, they could have used like a purple color on the lines, excuse my phone, to give that vibranium energy also. But I am very happy with the way that this figure came out. So you could see on the cloth, the soft goods itself, what I really like is and I don't think you could really see it clear in the Black Panther movie, but in Infinity War, because there was a lot of close-up shots of T'Challa in the suit, there was kind of a diamond pattern throughout. And what I really like here is you can see that diamond pattern here in the suit. So Mezco did a great job with that. I don't know how they make these suits, or really how it works, but there's like all the line work that you see is kind of some kind of rubber material or latex material or something that they put on the soft goods. So for this diamond pattern, really they had to do that kind of throughout the entire figure, because that is not the cloth itself. That is like whatever material that they're using on top of the cloth, and it just looks great, and it's throughout the entire figure that they did that. And so that looks really good. I, again, really like the way it came out. And you can see the black line work throughout the figure. Looks great. They even have it on the back of the figure. And here you can see what the threads where the figure suit is come together and sewn together. Looks really good. Now these lower legs, like the boots, and then the gauntlets, the wrists here, these forearms, so that is hard plastic. So that is not, there's no soft goods there. So that's all sculpted on. That's why it looks, you know, bigger and it's kind of sticking out further than the arm itself. That's because it's sculpted on, and then in the sculpt itself, they kept that diamond pattern going, which is really nice. And then we have a nice silver on there for the accents. Now one thing, and then I know this has bothered some people, it doesn't bother me really at all, but this neck piece is a separate piece that's on top. So with the necklace piece, it does not sit flush on there. So you could see how it's up above, and it's actually kind of sharp, but it's not flush to the figure. And I know that for some people, that's a turn off for them. Me, I don't mind it so much because I'm really not sure how else they could have done that unless they would have glued on each individual piece like they have here on the waist, and I just don't see them doing that because they're so small and thin. Maybe whatever adhesive they would have to use may kind of show. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it had something to do with that. But I think this does look good. I don't have any problems with it whatsoever. Now let's see the figure with the accessories on. Okay, so I have to show this because, God, you have to be very careful doing this. I did not enjoy doing this. To swap out the hands, you just pull on them like any figure, but if you hear that loud snap, I don't like the way that sounds, and I heard somebody told me to be careful with this figure because these pegs might break and are a little tough, and yeah, that was a scary sound. So you could see kind of how big that peg part is versus like the port where it plugs in. Ooh, yeah, see, yeah, that's kind of scary. So you want to be careful doing that. Maybe try not to do it so often. Okay, and so here's one last look at the Mezco Black Panther figure. Now, one thing that I was a little bit concerned about is with the hands, getting the spear into the hand, because the holding hands aren't as big, but the fingers are actually very flexible, so you can really get it in there and you don't have to worry about it at all. One of the tricky things with this one, though, is getting this strap around both of the hands and getting kind of the open hand to look like it's actually holding this piece of the shield. And again, those fingers are very flexible, so I was able to get it in there. But I did, you know, as doing it, you know, I was very cautious on getting it in there. But again, you know, you won't have to worry about breaking it or anything like that. The T'Challa head sculpt, it's easy. You just pop the head on. It's on a ball joint there, and it just slips on like so. Very easy. I don't think it looks like him, but is what it is. And then the funny thing is the shield and the spear, he doesn't use those while in the suit. He actually uses those fighting Killmonger. You know, when Killmonger challenges him using at the, I forget what the falls are called. You guys let me know down in the comments below. Or he uses these when he fights M'Baku at the beginning. I can't really remember, but I know he definitely didn't use these in the suit, because when he's in the suit, he really doesn't need, you know, any additional weapons or needs a shield. His suit will absorb energy, that kind of thing. But it is a very fun figure, very awesome figure, and it will look good in your collection. Now let's take a look at the comparison with some of the other MCU Mezco figures that we have, or the only 3 other ones that we do have. Okay, and taking a look at some size comparisons here, and it's kind of tough because the funny thing is Black Panther didn't really share any screen time with any of these other characters. With Bruce Banner, yes, but with Hulk, no. And then Thor came in and they were in battle, but I don't remember them actually being in a scene together at all. So it's just kind of funny that, you know, those two got screen time together, and then that's about it. So you can see size comparisons. He's definitely taller than Spider-Man, which he should be. And he looks to be around the same height as Thor, which, if anything, Thor is probably a little undersized. You know, especially since, like, the Legends figure and everything else is actually bigger than this guy. So Thor should be a little bit bigger, I would say, in comparison showing here. And then looking at the Hulk, you could see he's much smaller, and that's probably a pretty good size comparison for Hulk there. But the MCU Mezco 112 collective figures are really starting to shape up, and I hope we get more. Right now, the only additional ones that are planned, Captain Marvel is the newest one that's been announced. and that's not coming out until January of next year. But we should be seeing the Punisher soon, the 2 different versions of Daredevil, the regular red and black suit, as well as the Vigilante exclusive. And then Hela is the only other MCU figure that's going to be coming out. So at least we'll have kind of rounded out Thor Ragnarok with 3 figures. The other Spider-Man that'll be coming out, so we'll have the 2 for Homecoming, 1 from Black Panther, and then the 3 total from the Netflix series, Punisher being 1, and then the 2 Daredevils. So I don't know how many more Mezco MCU figures there will be. I will continue to collect them all. I will continue to collect any Spider-Man actual Mezco figures, because I do have the 3 Spider-Man figures, the regular classic red and blue. I have the Miles Morales, and I have the PX exclusive symbiote suit. So Mezco figures are fantastic. They are a little bit pricey, $80 price point for a regular release. Exclusives could be anywhere from $90 to $95, and then if you're Hulk, you know, because you're huge and massive, $125. But great figures if you guys want to collect. So let me know down in the comments below if you guys have any questions about the figure, or any questions about any of these Mezco figures. One thing that I just realized and found this out today, and I didn't know this, but the pull string on the hood actually moves around just like a real pull string there. It doesn't actually tighten the hood or anything, but you can see that you pull one side and the other side comes up. So I thought that was kind of cool that Mezco actually did that. So nice little thing. Again, hit that thumbs up, questions down below, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, thank you for watching.